Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. Do appreciate the people who checked in early. Y'all kind of early. I appreciate that. I likes that. I rocks with y'all. All right. Make sure that you do as Rhonda said, and make sure you hit that like button on your way in. Make sure you say hello so that we can greet you. All that kind of good stuff. And welcome to the show. Appreciate you guys checking in. So hello to Gundam Nakatao. Forgive me for butchering your name. Appreciate you showing up and checking in. Rhonda, hello to you. And make sure you do as Rhonda said, hit the like button on your way, and I appreciate it. All right, so I think we got a good show for today. We do have a few, hopefully people will check in a little bit. I think it's going to be a good show, going to be an interesting conversation. This is something that a lot of other podcasters have been talking about, and it's something I meant to do last week, but I got so busy. For a retired guy, I am extremely busy, and it's really kind of crazy. So I thought it was all done with some work that I do for lawyers, but I got a call last week, and they need some touch ups to some stuff. So, really kind of frustrated by that. So, and I hope everybody is doing good. I hope everybody's doing good. Make sure you hit the like button. All right, we got some warm up videos here. I don't like to delay delay the time. I don't like to delay the time. Um, Welcome, AJC33. Appreciate that. So again, this is an episode that I've been meaning to do for a little bit now. I got a little late with it because I got busy with doing some other stuff. So we shall see. All right, so I got some videos here. So I want to talk about obviously negotiating the new contract, negotiating the new contract, the new social contract. And again, I grew up in a certain type of way, and then my education, we didn't really. I didn't have to take any feminist courses. I don't have to take any feminist courses, or I didn't have to take any of that. So this is all kind of new stuff for me, and I approach it because, or talk about it because the dating scene is a mess. We know that the dating scene is a mess, and why is it a mess, and what is going on? And I just can't understand how it got so bad. So that really kind of piqued my interest as to why it's so bad and what we can do about it. 48900D, DMG man. I appreciate that. I am doing well, sir. How are you on this evening? It's a little bit warmer here, right? It got all the way up to like 30 degrees, 34 degrees there today up here in the Northeast. So, man, I appreciate that, AJC, supporting the work. Man, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Dr. L certainly does appreciate that. All Cash Apps, Venmos, and other um, items of support um, are certainly accepted and appreciated. Make sure you keep the channel going. It costs money to do these channels. Y'all don't realize that, right? I got to pay for StreamYard and all this other stuff. So I appreciate it. If something breaks, I got to run to the store, go get a new one. Battling a fever and strep throat. That's probably going around here. What part of the country are you from? What part of the country are you from? Speaking of all that, speaking of the country, how did y'all appreciate Bad Bunny's halftime show? I am pretty good at Spanish, depending on what dialect. When I went to Colombia, I didn't know what those people were saying, but when I go to Puerto Rico or to Dominican Republic or whatever, I can pretty much understand them. But I was when I was in down in the deep south there in Colombia, I was like, what are you talking about? So, but I appreciated Bad Bunny's presentation. I understood it from a visual aspect. Of course, I couldn't understand that the majority of it. I know that a lot of people are freaking out about it, but I really did appreciate it. I thought it was good. And see, uh, and see, but from South Carolina. Okay. My best friend is a sheriff's deputy down in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County there. Yeah, and we do hope that you're feeling better and get better, man. Make sure you drink a lot of tea and hot tea and what is that, chicken soup and all that kind of stuff. I need to watch the halftime show. Missed it on Sunday. It was good. I really really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it from a visual perspective. He shouted out, he being Bad Bunny, shouted out a lot of Spanish speaking countries, and he included, of course, United States, Haiti, and Jamaica, Jamaica. So I appreciated him doing that. It showed a lot of solidarity. And then I watched a lot of YouTube videos or Instagram videos of people from those various countries appreciating it and looking forward to his halftime show. And he did not disappoint from that perspective. So I definitely appreciated it. Yeah. So, man, you got a bunch of sick people here. I'm getting over my illness. Okay. Didn't society already get a new contract? It's called equality. Let no one forget. Women wanted and asked for it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about how the contract has gone a certain way. And it seems as if nobody's happy with it. That's really what I wanted to focus on. And I'm going to highlight a couple of videos here later on. One is by Anita, because she talked about it. We got to talk about women gotta back out their standards or accept a new type of contract. And both sides, we'll get into it, don't like what the offer is. Neither side likes what the offer is. So all right, so let's play a couple of videos here. Just to kind of show what we're talking about here. And here's some things that people do not like. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. If you have not hit it yet, make sure you hit the like button on your way in if you have not hit it yet. All right, so the first one up, all right, we're going to play some Instagram videos here. Of course, I was looking for these, so my algorithm is now all kind of jacked up. So we're going to play a couple of videos here. Here we go.
I need the men in my DMs to understand I'm going to ask for some money. I'm going to always ask for some money. The first day we meet, the first message you send, I'm going to ask for some money. So y'all be in my DMs talking all that woo, 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 yeah, like you got some sick. Well, I'm going to need some money. And the thing about it is I always got the cootie cat on me. It ain't nothing. I love getting some sick. What? The bills are due. They always do. They do every day. I'm going to ask for some more money. Just as simple as that. And if you know you stingy with your pockets, why are you in my DMs? Knowing I'm going to ask for some money. That's the crazy thing. You think I'm not going to ask you because you look like your great uncle? I've had finer niggas. It really be the ugly niggas that get the money up. I be looking for them. Where they at? So if you ain't finna give up bands, because I need 30 bands today, don't be in my DMs trying to get cute. And if you got my number magically some way, don't text me without sending an Apple Pay or a Cash App. What's wrong with you? Because I'm going to ask for some money. I need the men in my DMs to understand I'm going to ask for some.
You got to think and hope that these are really just rage baits and they're just doing this just for the clicks and likes, etc. You got to think that this is all that's going on here. You got to hope that these people aren't serious. Somebody comes in my house touching my camera. I know it. So this is what we're saying here, right? Is this woman serious? And she needed 30 bands. Now I try to stay up on stuff, right? I'm obviously an old man now, right? So I try to stay up on stuff. But she's talking about she needed $30,000. That's what a band is, right? 1,000. You need 30 bands today? Come on, man. Bills are due. Equality supports her picking up extra shifts at work. But listen, this is what we're saying here. Like, this is what she's asking for, and these people are serious. Maybe they're not serious. This is the difficulty that people are having. In order to get her number or to text her, you're going to ask for some money. And then she put it plain and simple that her kitty cat, as she puts it, is always with her. So you're just selling it. Just say it. And listen, if my daughter put out videos like this, I would be like, I'd be calling her up, going to her house. What are you talking about? What are you doing? What is happening here? What is happening? Selective equality is what they wanted. They never lobbied for equality in family court or manual labor. Well, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. L, what do you mean no one's happy with it? Feminism freed men from their traditional responsibilities and only have to contribute half now. Well, we just saw the video right there, Ranger. Well, she don't want half. She wants you to hit her up with 30 bands because she's gonna ask for some money. This is what's going on out here. And I wish that this was, a one-off, but we'll play another video here. Here's another one here. I forget what this one is. Hopefully it's on target here.
Abortions. Stop keeping these niggas babies, man. Okay. You laughing, I'm dead ass. Yo, I'm dead ass. Stop having these niggas babies, man. The economy fucked up. And you out here having a nigga baby, you don't even know his mother name. Get abortions. Stop keeping these niggas babies, man. You laughing, I'm dead ass. Yo, I'm dead ass. Stop having these niggas babies, man. The economy fucked up. And you out here having a nigga baby, you don't even know his mother name. Get abortions. Stop keeping these niggas.
This is what I'm saying. This is what we're talking about. This is what is being discussed. This is what's being discussed. People are putting this out in the atmosphere, having too much microphones. This is absolutely bananas. This is absolutely bananas. This is absolutely bananas. Not settle down, not her message isn't settle down, get a good dude, wait, keep your legs closed, use protection. Her answer is get baby deletions. $40,000 likes. 40,000 likes. This is what I'm saying. People are not happy. No. Who wants this? Who wants this? Who wants that? Let's take a look at this one here.
Am I the only person that gets excited when a man asks what you bring to the table? Ooh, I'd be happy as shit when a man asks me that, because I think the only people that get offended by that question are the women who only bring pussy to the table. Y'all gotta have some other tricks up your sleeve. You do, because it's so easy for a man to get some coochie that has no responsibility attached to it. That can't possibly be the only thing that you think that you should show up with. Everybody can get some ass. A broke man can get some ass. It's ass for sale. They giving away ass for the hopes of love. I mean, everybody can get some ass. You gotta have something else. My looks and my coochie are the last two things on my list of what I bring to the table. Y'all better get y'all some new tricks, because the men are tired of that. And y'all love to weaponize sex. When y'all mad, y'all don't want to give them no ass. Y'all gotta have something else, because that shit is old. Am I the only person that gets excited when a man...
Well, I can appreciate the message to some degree. Again, the mouth on this chick is just crazy. I definitely agree that there has to be more to the relationship than sex. I definitely agree that you ought to bring something else to the table. But the mouth. Now, she's a good-looking woman, probably approachable in certain environments. But the mouth. Y'all hit the like button. 8 people. We got 8 likes. Come on now. We're over 30 watching now. Let's see here. Let's do this one here. Here's one. The expectation to take care of other people's responsibilities here.
Black women that do have children, I would expect you to want to step in for women who have children. The majority of us Black women are single mothers. And since we are, and you want to date us potentially, then it would be your role to step in. And my children's father has passed away. So since he's passed away, my children don't have a father and they won't, but I need a man that's going to come in. And since I'm a mother and I'm a very good mother, I need somebody who can be a good father to my child. And if you want to empower youth, period, then you should want to. If you're dating a single mother, which most Black women are, you should want to step in and play that role as long as you're there.
No, that's not his.
There's another commentator after that. So most people, we've run through the numbers here about how many single, but the expectation is you got to come in here and deal with this. This is the result, as Ranger's talking about. This is the result of this new contract, and we're going to get into that in a little bit here. I wanted to kind of do a warm up here. So this is what's going on here, right? All right. So I wanted to show something here. Let's pause this for a minute here. We'll come back to these ratchet attempts to be, to give some information here. But I wanted to discuss what the contract was or is. So the contract was that men, particularly in Western society, men would engage in the public sphere and women would engage in the private sphere and or the home. That was the arrangement, that was the engagement. And that was due to a number of different forces. That depending on who you read, when you read it, it was done by a number of different forces. That was the arrangement. And that is what grew Western society. And so as a result of women overthrowing that contract in the 19th century, the 1820s, 40s, etc., they threw out that arrangement, and has been cascading through 4 different waves of feminism now. Some would say 3, some would say 5, whatever. It all gets all kind of murky depending on how much you want to look into it. So this is where we're at in this day and time. Let me see here. Stop screen share. So screen share. Let me see if I can put this on here. Window. All right, let's do this one here. All right. So this is a book that I just kind of discovered today, and I was reading through a lot of it today. This is called Feminist Interpretations of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. So Jean-Jacques Rousseau is one who kind of helped develop the narrative of what the social contract was and how men and women ought to operate in order to form a good, modern, civil society. Take from what you want, and this is a feminist critique of it. So these ladies on here, feminist interpretations, well, it is a critique. Feminist interpretations of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, edited by Linda Range. You can go, this is free on the interweb. So I just went over there and I downloaded it. It's 400 and something pages. So, but I wanted to read something here. Talking about where we get this contact from, right? Origins and foundations of sexual inequality. This is this paragraph here. And so you read down through here, and I thought this was important here. This is a work that Jean-Jacques did in the discourse or whatever. I'm not gonna try to pronounce all of that in French. Rousseau's method is that the philosophical anthropology, and he even uses a type of argument found in contemporary evolutionary biology. So these ladies who are critiquing this are saying that he was trying to do some real serious work here and rooted and grounded in evolutionary biology. This putatively scientific approach seems to him to justify the quick reference of a principle with vast consequences. It is one which is only too familiar in a contemporary reader, but by no means evidently true. The man should be strong and active. The women should be weak and passive, right? This is a quotation, so they're quoting Rousseau when he says this. The different biological contributions of the sexes to their common aim, right? The common aim is to what? Of reproduction dictates this principle according to Rousseau. In other words, what he's saying is, if you want to keep having babies, you want to keep society going, then there's got to be this dialogue that's going on here, and there's got to be different contributions by the different sexes. Equal strength and self-assertion are inconsistent with the reproductive biology of each sex. In other words, men are not attracted to strong women, and women are not attracted to feminine men. We want something different. There's got to be a polarity. This is what these ladies are critiquing, what Rousseau was saying. This argument concerns Homo sapiens in a pure state of nature, prior to the development of any specifically human culture or society. This has been going on before we had societies. Human race is 250,000, 300,000 years. This was going on. Now we get the introduction of feminism and everything's falling off the rails. From a biological point of view, for procreation to occur, Rousseau writes, one must necessarily will and be able. It suffices that the other put up a little resistance. In other words, women shouldn't be giving it up so easy, right? Those videos I just played before, shouldn't be that easy. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger here. Shouldn't be that easy. When the lady was talking about, you can go anywhere and get sex. Shouldn't be that easy. You got to put up resistance, and men got to be able to put up some resistance too. This is what Rousseau was saying. This is what he was saying, and they're critiquing it. They don't really like that. They want to change the contract. They being the authors of this particular work, this particular book. Let me go down a little bit here. The timidity and weakness of the woman, according to Rousseau, inspire her to be pleasing to a man out of the basic impulse of self-preservation. That is, if she's pleasing, he is less likely to be violent. Now, I don't particularly think that men ought to be putting their hands on women. But this is his perception of it, right? This is the give and take. Now, I'm not in favor of putting your hands on women because she's not doing what you're telling her to do. Don't get it twisted, right? Rousseau thinks this behavior simultaneously makes the man more inclined to remain with her, an important consideration if one has to give up his autonomy. And there was something else I want to read here. I think it's page 44. The problem of female power. Again, these are ladies who are addressing this type of thing, right? Let's see. I didn't highlight this here. I thought I highlighted this here. This talks about this. I thought I highlighted this here. Maybe I didn't say it, but there was something in here about the problem of female power and what happens when they get power, and essentially the interaction changes and men start to change. He acknowledges this of his time. So that's that one. So again, this is available on Feminist Interpretations of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. This is a free PDF. It's a 421-page book, and these ladies who contributed, they wrote different chapters in the book. And you can see all different types of chapters. Rousseau and modern feminism, Rousseau's political defense of sex-rolled families, women power and politics of everyday life. So these are all ladies critiquing what this guy Rousseau did. So you can go over there and check that out. There's another thing I want to go, and we'll get back to the videos here, but I want to talk about what the social contract is. And again, the social contract was men are going to operate in the public sphere, women are going to operate in the private sphere, and by doing so, we will continue in a civil society. Probably a little bit more nuanced than that, but we'll keep that definition going on right now. All right, so one more thing here I want to share, and we'll get back to the videos here. We'll do this one here. We'll do this one here. Sex. All right. Sex. All right. So this is sex and the social contract. Can you guys see that here? Let me make this a little bit bigger here. Sex and the social contract here. Let's take this down here. All right. Sex and the Social Contract. This is in summer 2000. Author is Mary Severance. I wonder if that's a pseudonym, Mary Severance. Anyway, so Sex and the Social Contract here, and there was something here I highlighted. Did I save it on here? Anyway, this particular work, I know I thought I highlighted. She argues against Thomas Hobbes and John Locke and what they were talking about here. And there was something on here I really wanted to highlight. I thought I highlighted it here, but I didn't. Anyway, this is another critique of the social contract, and they're saying that they don't like it, they don't want it, and they're operating outside of it, and women ought to take forth their power. And is this it? No, that's not it. I thought I highlighted this here. Oh, my apologies. Anyway, so this is another free PDF here that's really kind of worth reading here. I read through the vast majority of it. So sex in the but this is again another feminist work talking about literature and how the literature of the time and these men of the time, Rousseau and John Locke, were these great theoreticians and kind of set up this oppressive environment for women. So that's that. So, but anyway, what I wanted to some of the grounding premise of feminist literary history, that the dominant culture is patriarchal, forces us to choose between voluntaristic emphasis on female agency and a deterministic focus on the public appropriations of women's writing. So that's that. All right, so I want to kind of highlight those because those are two things that people can read over to understand and get a better understanding of what the social contract is and why it is being rejected in this day and time as it is. Let's see. Some men, Aaron Clary, and some women said that they do not want to mate or have children if doing so leads to a poor quality of life, poor relationships, and lack of personal fulfillment. Right. So this is what a lot of these ladies, even at this particular time, by particular time, I'm talking about the height of the Enlightenment, or at least the beginnings of it. Thomas Locke, Locke and Hobbes. John Locke and Thomas Hobbes and Rousseau and all these different individuals, right? They were struggling with all this, and there were some men as well who were in the camp of, okay, we need to give women these rights. So these arguments that we're having today were had back then, but I don't think that they were able to see on full display through social. Well, I know they weren't able to do it through full display about what this freedom has done to some women. Of course, it's not all women. It's probably not even the majority of them, but obviously the loudest cans, the empty cans make the most noise, and all that kind of stuff. So this is the problem with it, right? And yeah, let's see. Aaron Clary said it would be wiser to be childless rather than birth children. It's the societies that do not provide good life for the parents of children. The quality of life is hurting. The quality of life is important. So this is an important distinction, and thank you for that, Mackie Samuels. Yeah, so this is what a lot of people are arguing, even black folks. When there were some black individuals who wanted these baby deletions. They wanted it. They want it. People can't cry and complain. I remember, Candace Owens always crying about, the birth rate and black people that have, unalive more babies than anybody else, but they want it. Again, this is not about responsibility. This is the changing social contract. They don't want responsibility. They don't want to be in these different environments. They don't want it. They don't want to be in environments of marriage. They don't want to be in the stagnated environments where they feel as if they're not getting the full self-development and full personhood that the men are able to enter into. And so they're upset about that. And so they want these types of things. They don't want to take birth control. They don't want to use protection. They would just want to go out there and just do whatever without the repercussions of what having sex does. They would rather have the self-fulfilling life. They would rather do that type of thing. I think I got some more about that. Soft cooperative women are priority and deserve to have their needs met in the home. Aaron Clary I think he's an economist, right? I think that's what his degree is in. And he has a YouTuber. You can go over there, look up that name, Aaron Clary. He just did a video very recently talking about this. He's another one who's talking about this type of thing and what is going on here. And so he's saying, I'm pretty sure it's Clary. Aaron Clary is saying that people don't want to have babies because the economy, in particular women, because the economy and because of greater economic opportunities. The economic opportunities that women have is causing them not to have babies. So again, the previous contract was women would stay in the house, and not literally in the house, but they were in charge of the domestic sphere, while the men took care of the public sphere. Well, now the women are saying we want to be in the public too. So if they want to be in the public, then you can't raise babies, and they don't want men who raise babies. I've covered this in other conversations that I've had, in which other experts in this field are all saying that women, even almost all mammals, if not all mammals, I think almost all mammals, maybe the exception is the hyena, maybe none of them. It's not natural for men to stay home and watch the kids. That is abnormal in mammalian society. It is abnormal. So when ladies say that they want a man who's going to be 50-50, and as far as taking care of the home, this, that, and the other, they're not really attracted to him. And I'm not saying men shouldn't help out. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that's not going to get their engine going. Yes, thank you so much for the super chat, for the $5, AJC. Appreciate it. They want a dictatorship. Let's be honest. Some of us wouldn't be here if deletion procedures and birth control were available 100 years ago. I don't know. They were going on back then, right? The 1910s, 20s is probably a lot safer, a lot more affordable, and etc. But they were going on back then. Lots of older women are enjoying their lives. They invested in themselves, and now they're benefiting from the fruits of their labor. That's probably true. For Vite, what sounds better? Getting a nice lift and swim in, steak, relax in silence, unwinding, playing a game with friends, and go to bed earlier, or paying a loud mouth. Okay. Okay. I grew up in a world where men asked women out, told them they look beautiful instead of just staring. They opened doors, etc. Feminism was and is a big fail. Yes. I agree with you. Chasing Grace says, yeah, that right there. I agree with you. And this is the result of the changing contract. This is a result of the changing contract. Let's get back to some videos here, and we will close current tabs. All right, let's see here. All right, here's a brother here who understands the assignment, right? This is one's kind of funny here.
Decline. I'm paying. Yes, thank you so much. Hey, mama yangu, game over.
Brother said, listen, if I'm paying for it, I'm going to eat it. You're right about that. They was having baby deletes of Game of Thrones. You're right about that. Drink this tea. Drink this tea. All right, let's see what else here. Now, brothers are out here asking for, y'all hit the like button. 22 likes. We got over 50 people in here watching now. Come on now, hit the like button. What's up, big discussions? Appreciate you stopping in. All right, here's a brother here. I'm assuming this is not a skit right here because of I'm assuming this is not a skit here.
All that money all year long, and then you get a little money, and then you want to act like you can't give me shit. Like, we supposed to be on the same team. That shit bogus.
It's not that.
That shit bogus.
Okay, but I've been waiting for this money all year.
We've been waiting for this money all year.
We?
Because I've been out here doing everything I can to make sure we got what we need.
Nobody asked you. I didn't ask you.
But I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a man.
Okay, so what does that have to do with my income tax?
Because you supposed to be like, damn, that nigga been looking out for us all year. I'm finna look back out for him. Like, damn, that's common sense.
What you mean? You're the one who makes all the money. This is the one time.
How you got me all on camera with these folks, man? You really doing that shit? Come on, man. Y'all see what I'm saying?
I'm I'm just saying, what do you need my income tax for?
I've been doing everything.
Okay,
So you should be able to look back out for me too.
You wanted to do everything. Right.
All that money all year long.
That's why I said I don't think it's a skit, because he was kind of upset that she was recording. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah, Aaron Clary, I've only listened. I don't listen to a lot of those brothers because they do, sometimes they let things slip out here and there. I haven't really heard him say anything in particular, but a lot of these people, they do talk crazy about us every now and then. So you got to be careful when you listen to these people. So I haven't heard about it, but I don't doubt what you're saying here. Your money is her money, and her money is her money. And this is renegotiating the contract. People do not want to deal with that anymore. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to talk about that. You want to be independent. You wanted to leave the old contract about being around the home. You don't want that anymore. Now you got to pay. You got to come out of pocket here, right? And here's a woman at church, right? Would y'all go to this church? This has got nothing to do with what we're talking about here, but here's a church thing here.
This pact, it must be the spirit.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Fun Spot America. It's you.
I don't know. I don't think that's why it was packed. I'm just saying.
This church has never been this packed. It must be the spirit.
All right, that's that one here. That's his fault. He chose wrong. I think that Anita says this. I think Anita says this, and I think there's kind of a lot of truth to it here. That you got to get stuff up front. You got to get stuff up front. Let's see here. You got to get stuff up front. Here's a couple of good ones here. We'll come to these here. This one here is pretty good.
Guy who asked me out on a date is currently waiting for me, and he's gonna get stood up because he wanted to take me to the movies. I felt cute. In the midst of getting ready, he texted me asking me if I can buy the snacks and the popcorn we was gonna eat at the movies. He's taking me out. He wants me to buy. Essentially, he's going on a date. I'm going to bed. A guy who asked me out on a date is currently waiting for me, and he's gonna get stood up because he wanted to take me to the movies. I felt cute. In the midst of getting ready, he texted me asking me if I can buy the snacks and the popcorn we was gonna eat at the movies. He's taking me out. He wants me to buy. Essentially, he's going on a date. I'm going to bed. A guy who.
So that's that one there, right? So she decided to change clothes, if this even real, right? She got a ton of makeup on there, so either she had makeup on and decided to do this, or this is all cap and all made up. You can't tell anymore. People are just doing what they're doing, right? Let's see, the changing contract here. This one is kind of crazy here because we don't know why she decided not to go out on a date with this
As a female, honestly, I could see why dudes be hating us or getting mad. I went on a date last night. He was very nice, picked me up, took me to dinner, and, I made sure we had the best time. The best time of our life. I was nice. Like, he would have never been able to think that in my head, I'm just thinking about how this man is never seeing me again. As a female, honestly, I could see why dudes be hating us or getting mad. I went on a date last night. He was very nice, picked me up, took me to dinner, and, I made sure we had the best time. The best time of our life. I was nice. Like, he would have never been able to think that in my head, I'm just thinking about how this man is never seeing me again.
And that's all she says. She doesn't say what the man did wrong, why she don't want to see him again. And she's saying, as a woman, she said, as a female, I can see why guys are tired of us. But you're displaying the exact type of behavior that men are so tired. Tell us what the man was doing wrong. Was he dressed wrong? Did he stink? Was his hygiene off? Did he not have any game? What was the problem? Here's a bunch of ladies here who'd rather put on Valentine's Day dresses or whatever.
He told me he was the prize. He asked me what I bring to the table. He called me big money. He called me queen. He ain't sent me no money. He asked me to drive my car. He told me he was the prize. He asked me what I bring to the table.
I can't take too much more of that screaming there. Some don't want nice. She wasn't attracted to him. Yeah. Survival, that's how most women think. He didn't do anything wrong. Their default answer is no to most men. And most men are sick of this, right? Again, this is the broken contract. The contract was that if a man operated in the public sphere, that he could get a wife. That was the contract. Now that contract has been totally ripped up, and they don't want to abide by that now. So now most men are not attractive to the ladies. Guys, if she ain't asking you out, offering to pay half, offering stimulating conversation, dress up somewhat classy for you, etc., she's not into you, let her go. I think that this is the new contract that men are not coming to. Men are now coming to this understanding. Men are now coming to this understanding that we're going to demand a 50-50, like the guy said on that particular date that the woman refused to go to about buying snacks or popcorn on it. Otherwise, what are you working for? You got a job, you got your educations, and I'm not saying that in a dismissive way, but I'm saying we've both got to bring something to the table. And this seems to be something that the ladies just don't want to do. He didn't stimulate her toxicity. These are women in their 30s. It looks like I think they're in their 40s. These women look right here, they look like they're in their 40s. I think they look like they're in their 40s. All right. Let's see. I'm thinking out maybe. Let's see here. Let me see. Move this here. All right, here's a young guy, right? Who's I think this is like a high school something.
So da baby to K17 for prom.
For the prom.
I'm that one nigga. I'm that one nigga. Like one nigga like yeah. Walk around like fuck nigga. Walk around like fuck nigga.
So the particular PDFs that I pulled up before talk about this type of thing, and they suggest Rousseau, Hobbes, and all these different people suggest that when ladies enter in a certain place, that this is the result. In so many words, this is what they're saying. You can go over and read it for yourself. This is what they were suggesting. That this particular young lady is at a prom, I guess to the king and queen of the prom, and she would rather sing these ratchet songs, and the guy is just sitting there just looking at him. This is what's going on here. This is what's going on. Crazy. Let's see. I think this is the last one to show up here.
The real men, I'm not playing. I'm so tired. Listen, I'm so tired of being on these dates with y'all. Like, y'all so just lame. Y'all so weak. Y'all so verified. Like, can we bring back the days where men actually know how to be a man? I mean, I'm so tired of y'all nails shining brighter than mine. I'm so tired of y'all just... I mean, y'all complain about everything. Y'all nag about everything. Y'all get an attitude and tuck y'all tail between y'all legs about anything. Can we get back to the real men? Will the real men come out? Where y'all at? I'm praying for it. I'm going to fast for it. Because, baby, we in dire need. The country is in trouble. I mean, it's too many men acting like women. I mean, it's too many men bashing women. I mean, you bisexual, you gay, okay, we get it. You the baddest bee. But stay away from us women, us independent women, us old school women, because we're not having them that. You either gonna come correct or don't come at all. I'm so tired of it. Don't nobody want to deal with no girl. If we want to do women, we'll be lesbians. We want a man that know how to change a tire, that know how to set a barbecue grill. Like, we tired. Like, we is really tired. Y'all see all women that's independent, most women that's independent and doing their own thing, owning their own house, about their business, they single. It's not because we want to be single. We tired of y'all little boys. We tired of y'all little crybaby boys. We tell y'all thinking y'all entrepreneurs, y'all want to go get a job. You're an entrepreneur till you making 6 figures, okay? Stop it. Ain't nobody talking about those. Okay, yes, we'll invest in your dream and everything. But if I see you in the club every week and you told you're an entrepreneur and you broke, get out of my face. Y'all have 12 different gigs. What? I don't get it. When if I meet another man that tell me he's an entrepreneur, but he ain't got no car, ain't got no house, baby, I'm gonna need you to go find something else to do. I'm gonna go because baby, I'm not about to invest in you. I just met you. Go and play with somebody else. Go and play with somebody else. Y'all be on social media all day, verified out, bashing women. Okay, you like men, we get it. Y'all complain about spending money on women. Okay, you broke, we get it. Listen, I'll take a nigga out on a date any day. I don't care. A nice restaurant. Listen, I ain't complaining about spending no money on no nigga because I want that nigga to spend some money on me too. It's called partnership. It's called give and take. It's not called leech. It's not called bum. It's not called putting all the weight on the woman. It's called partnership. And a lot of y'all men will continue to be broke, continue to be whack because y'all don't know partnership. Y'all selfish and y'all rather go take y'all best friend out to lunch than take y'all woman out to lunch. Y'all rather go blow a bag all out of town than take care of y'all kids. Like, let's be real. I'm tired of y'all giving these men a pass. They fairies. Protect my peace. I want peace too. Can we bring back the real?
Oh, she's been running into some real ones out there. She went on a rant. I didn't know it was that long. Let's see. Yeah, the high schools are the worst, man. But this is the result of the changing contract. You got to understand when these ladies wanted to introduce feminism in, they want to tamp down the boys, and they wanted to, talk about toxic masculinity. This is the results you're going to get. This is the result you're going to get. You're going to get instances where the ladies are out there with no direction, no guidance, no one to tell them no, as I played in other videos, no elderly women to say it, to tell them to knock it off, to get back in line. None of that is going on here. None of that is going on here. Let's see. W. Dave, for you, Dr. L, men grew up learning how to protect and give to women. Women grew up learning that they could get what they wanted from men. Research shows this. Right. I definitely agree with that. And you're right about that. Research is showing that. And research is also demonstrating that this is having vastly negative effects on their own mental health, the ladies' mental health. It's definitely a growing instance and problems. Big discussion. I think we're all tired. We're all tired of this. We're tired. Yeah. We're all tired of this. Let's see. I see why she's single. Y'all hit the like button. If you're in here in the chat, please make sure you hit the like button. You can also buy me a coffee as well. This is the frustration a lot of us are having, right? 1 minute you don't make enough, 1 minute you don't have a 401k, 1 minute you're too dirty and not sophisticated, you're blue collar, right? These chicks are all over the place, right? What is it that you want? Again, we used to know. we used to know. We used to know. All right, let's see. I got some YouTube stuff here to show. Let's go over to YouTube here. All right, so those are a couple of warm-up videos here. So now we got some stuff. We're going to try to get to Anita in a little bit here. Let's see. History. I think I'll just watch later. Let's see. Maybe we'll watch later here. Can you imagine being home with her? No, I could not. No, I could not. And Gloria's Love is a woman. I couldn't imagine that. She wants peace, but she's on social media yelling. But this is the frustration a lot of women are running into, right? This is the frustration. All right, so this is the brother here, and the name of his video is the deal between men and women has been broken. Let's see, what is this? Watch later. This is watch later.
What do you think is kind of driving this divergence? And I guess, what could
Again, the name of this video is The Deal Between Men and Women is Broken, Brett Weinstein. So these are a couple of lighter complected people. I love this. He's got a little dung beetle. What's good with that? dung beetle statue here.
Consequences of this be?
Well, I think the puzzle might be simpler than it looks, but the diagnosis is starker. You effectively have a cascade of unforeseen consequences of, on the one hand, birth control that is reliable, and on the other hand, feminism, for lack of a better term. That sensibilities of the moment and technologies radically altered the relationship between men and women. That altered relationship did not get a coherent replacement. And the system we currently have is disruptive of all of the normal things that allow men and women to partner and be prosperous as a result of doing so.
Now, remember, that was one of the first things I talked about here when I went over those two different papers, is that there has to be a polarity, and there has to be a polarity in order for the sexes to continue, for the reproduction to go on, because men are not attracted to masculine women, and and women are not attracted to effeminate men, and men who aren't on their game and on their purpose. You don't even have to be necessarily effeminate, but if you can't grill hot dogs, can't fix things around the house and doing things that men should do, then they're not going to be attracted to that. We saw that from the last particular lady. And so now a lot of people across the world, and particularly in modern countries, this is really a first world problem. This is really a first world problem. And if you look at the mouse utopia, which I've discussed and other people have discussed, the mouse utopia experiment, if you look at that, there is no coming back from this. Once there's enough food, water, no predators, we conquer diseases, etc., population collapse is inevitable. I don't mean to be nihilistic about it, but how do we come back from this if this is how humans have evolved together for over 300,000 years? And then this new feminist thing within the last 200, starting in the 1840s or so, now we're here.
At the moment, what I see when I talk to young people is I don't think that young men and women like each other anymore. I think they've both got the ick. And having the ick means that they are looking to the future with an eye towards how to go it alone, how to get their needs met in the absence of a historically useful plan. And I think this looks different to men and women because, ironically, despite some of the sensibilities that we've had shoved down our throat, men and women are different. And I think women, absent a partnership with men, are looking more or less to the state to provide. And that leads to, I resist the idea that it's really a turn to the left, but it is a turn to the nominally left.
Listen, y'all gotta hit the like button. We've been hitting the 70 mark and we're still at 37 likes. Let's get up to the number of views watching. Need 30 plus people in here to hit the like button. Hit the like button.
And men are banding together and teaming up the way men do. And that has them moving towards something that I think it's more justified to call right or conservative. Now, I don't think any of this goes anywhere good. It does not result in a stable new equilibrium of some kind. It's certainly bad for people. Almost nobody is ahead of where their parents' or grandparents' generation was as a result of a more traditional mode of interaction. That said, one of the things I see is a burgeoning trad movement, which on the one hand does one of the things that must be done. It defends virtues that have been derided recently. But it is not a solution either. For one thing, even conservatives are availing themselves of birth control for very good reasons. It allows you to control how many children you have, when you have them, and that is a hard-won gain that actually has a great value. but it also carries with it a kind of power for which we don't have the appropriate wisdom. So I don't think you can conserve your way out of this puzzle. What has to happen is a renegotiation of the arrangement between mankind and womankind.
Ooh, the renegotiation of the arrangement between mankind and womankind. Rearrangement, a rearrangement of the contract. We got to talk about this because the stuff that we're doing right now ain't working. These baby deletions, these single mothers has been pointed out. These I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man narratives. It ain't working for all of society. Thank you for that, Lorelei. Appreciate that.
And I keep waiting to see that movement. What is the new way that we are to interact now that we, for example, have control over when and how many children to have? But I don't see it. And I'm frustrated by the chaos that is being engendered in the absence of that deal. I think, frankly, as time passes, and therefore the gap between the current generation that is forging relationships and the last generation that knew how to do it correctly, which might arguably be the silent generation, as that gap grows.
But that, to me, is the problem, because he says that the last generation that knew how to do it well was the silent generation. That, right, the silent generation was the turn of the century, right? And then after that, you get the baby. After that, you get the greatest generation, right? And then after that is the baby boomers, Gen X, right? That's the way it goes, right? Silent. And those people needed each other. And as long as we don't need each other, then that's the problem. Right. The silent generation refers to individuals between, 1928 to 1945, currently aged 81 to 98 in 2006, situated between the greatest generation and the baby boomers. Right. I thought the greatest generation. I thought it was earlier than that. Okay, whatever. Okay. Anyway, I'm skeptical about this. Is what AI is saying. I don't think that's right. Well, Wikipedia is saying the same thing. That doesn't make any sense to me. But then when was the greatest generation? All right.
The degree to which young people simply assume that a good romantic life is a myth.
I think that the problem is he skipped the baby boomers altogether. I think that was probably the beginning of the end, because the baby boomers, when they were born, right, they turned into the 60 generations, and that was the free love, and they wanted to overturn everything, right, because they were the product of people going to war, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as doing it right, as far as doing marriage right, or staying together, or learning to live in pact, he's probably right about that. I mean, we don't get a lot of baby boomers who are not a lot, and then of course Generation X is just off the chain with the divorces, and now this new generation they're not even thinking about a marriage.
That likelihood goes up. They see it as some sort of a story, and then you get realistic about, the defects of the other sex, and maybe you make some sort of transactional arrangement, but don't kid yourself. That's what it is, right? That
transactional arrangement there. Okay, greatest generation, 1901 and 1927. Okay, that's why I had them reversed there. Okay. Yeah, so the greatest generation is the ones that fought all those crazy wars, World War I, World War II, and all that. Okay, gotcha. The Great Depression and the forging of the new economic system forced men and women to be together. Right. That was the way. And also when we on the farms, etc., back in the days. Yeah, I was mixed up about that. So this is what it is. And now that we got technology, people have left the homes, and life is just easier. We enter into this mouse utopia experiment where when life is easy, things just get off the rails. Let me rewind this a little bit here.
As that gap grows, the degree to which young people simply assume that a good romantic life is a myth, that likelihood goes up. They see it as some sort of a story, and then you get realistic about, the defects of the other sex, and maybe you make some sort of transactional arrangement, but don't kid yourself. That's what it is, right?
What he's saying right here is really, really deep. He's saying you start to get in this type of arrangement, and once you start to see some of the defects in someone else, right? So, this guy, he snores when he sleeps, or you make up something silly, right? You don't like the way he dresses. He wears a brown belt with black shoes or something silly. Then you're willing to walk out the door because there's not a forcing you to stay together. You have the state to rely on you, to rely on. You have a job to rely on, and you just don't need to do it. And as long as, to my estimation, as long as there's no need, it's going to continue to be a growing problem. It's going to continue to be a growing problem. If we're talking about renegotiating what it means to be together, as long as there's no need, I don't see how it can work. And I try to think about this, like what can really work. Let's rewind a little bit here.
That likelihood goes up. They see it as some sort of a story, and then you get realistic about, the defects of the other sex, and maybe you make some sort of transactional arrangement, but don't kid yourself, that's what it is, right? That view of men by women and women by men is absolutely toxic and dangerous. Not least because the reason that evolution built humans the way it did, and we are very unique in this regard, the reason that we are constructed the way we are is for the purpose of child rearing. And that process of child rearing is not simple in humans. It's not straightforward the way it is in any other creature, frankly, because humans are uniquely software-based creatures. That is to say, what you need to know in order to be an effective human being is not passed to you genetically. It is largely passed to you by parents who know something about their environment. And under normal circumstances, their environment would look an awful lot like the one that you were going to be an adult in. And so a passing of a coherent culture is the reason that human babies are so, what we call altricial, meaning helpless when they're born, right? They have to be helpless in order to have their software program loaded on, and to get one loaded on that's relevant to the problems that they're going to face it is both the biggest vulnerability that humans have, and it is the biggest asset we have, because we can have our software program tailored to an environment that looks entirely different than one 10,000 miles away or 500 years in the past. So we need those partnerships. Parents are not there to provide resources and, warmth and keep the rain off. Yes, that's a prerequisite to raising a child, but the bulk of the job is in the conveying of wisdom about how to be a human being. And if men and women don't like each other, that job does not get done well. So civilization is depending on us solving this problem, and we are doing quite the opposite.
I thought that was very, very good, because I thought that was very good because he really kind of broke it down here. And this goes to your question here, big discussions, Dr. Anwar, that when the parents become inept, and they become inept because that social programming, social learning is not being transmitted down through the ages. And when you have toxic relationships, and when men and women can't get along and they're fighting and bickering and arguing, then that disrupts every other type of learning, whether it's the social learning and even educational attainment and learning. All of that becomes disrupted, and now we get into this mess of a society. And we gotta deprogram and deconstruct that type of information, and we got to change that. I thought I pretty much understood what he was saying there, Glorious. He's saying that when things go off the rails, and when we're not able to transmit down this information, you end up with a mess. Let me see here. We'll play this video here, a little bit of this one here, and then we'll get to Anita's. Let's see. A lot of women, yeah, they don't, and this is difficult to really articulate in a way that is not going to be offensive to ladies. But one of the primary purposes of women with who have wombs and are able to reproduce is exactly that, for reproduction. And when they refuse to do it, and this is a Western problem, when they can get off their plantation, when they can get off of their not being locked down to the house, or however else people want to phrase it, they don't care about that. They're not concerned about the next generation. That's why, a lot of the instances and problems, and well, not problems, but a lot of the issues that this project for 2025 is attempting to address is to get more women to have babies. Because when they get these other goodies from the environment, they refuse to have them. What is the birth rate now? 1.3, something like that. I think even now for Black women, it's even lower. Black women in America, which has never been. So this is a growing problem. This is a growing problem. We'll play a little bit of this one here. I haven't played this one. I haven't watched this one yet. So if this is AI, we're not going to play it here.
There are time periods throughout history when humanity collectively loses its mind. Not all epidemics are physical, some are psychological. These are epidemics of the mind. During these mental epidemics, people lose rationality, they lose coherence. They do not base their perceptions off of evidence. They become profoundly dysfunctional. They lose all alignment with reality, and they do so without realizing it. The standards of sanity are reset to align with the new insanity, and just like that, collective insanity becomes the new sanity. We are currently in one such time period, and a big element of this specific epidemic is independence sickness. But what does that mean? Everywhere you look, you're going to see that in today's world, people believe wholeheartedly in the virtue and rightness of independence. It has become a new definition of what it is to be healthy and empowered.
Let's see here. Are we beyond a point of no return? I think we're very close to it. Because if you look at the Mouse Utopia experiment, no matter what they did, they being the experimenters, it was just beyond repair. It was just beyond repair. They couldn't fix it. Eventually the whole society collapsed. Will it happen to us in 10, 20 years? Probably not. But if you look at South Korea, parts of Japan, China is now dealing with this. China is now changing divorce laws to get more men to want to accept marriage. So they have to do some major work, major work to get men to want these types of women. And the women have to want those types of men. This is the renegotiation. These women, I played the videos, you guys saw them, about women saying they don't want these types of men. They don't want soft men. They don't want soft men. They want men who are competent, confident, and can do what they know how to do. But the women, but you got to raise those type of men. And if, again, going back to Weinstein's point, if you don't put this software in them, they won't have the ability to do it. If you tell men, if you get men to go to school and they're being trained that their masculinity is toxic and that their assertiveness is somehow wrong and bad and evil, they're going to grow up and not want to deal with that. And so you got women going more left and the men are going more right. What's up, Low Key Darkness? Y'all hit the like button. If you feel so inclined to buy me a coffee, I would certainly appreciate it. Support the channel. A fresh start is needed. Yeah. But it's going to have to come to the needs. It's going to have to come to the needs. I don't know how you get around the needs portion. Again, we talk about the silent generation and the greatest generation, right? They needed each other. The men went out to work. That's not the way that it is today. People will leave you in a minute because as the men always say in this particular space, listen, I got my PlayStation, I got my house, I don't need anything else. I got a job, I work my 30, 40 hours a week, and that's it. I don't got to do extra time. I don't got to do anything else. Where's the need at? They definitely create the men they complain about. There's no doubt about that. 100% agree why we continue to ensure our own demise. Yeah.
To the point where you do not need anything or anyone outside of you. So many therapists that tell people that to heal is to learn to be alone, to rely on yourself, and to meet your own needs. So many parents that raise children specifically so that they can go off on their own into the world and stand on their own 2 feet. So many political ideologies.
The financial incentives to have babies hasn't worked, right? Paying women to have babies hasn't worked. Yeah, so it might a financial penalty for not having kids. It may come. They're gonna try something. Handmaid's Tale. They're gonna do something. They're gonna do something. I'm not advocating. I'm just saying they're gonna do something because people are not gonna watch they're not gonna watch their societies decline. They're not gonna do that. If imagine all of South Korea just going extinct. I was watching something. They were talking about, or maybe I was watching BGS's stream or somebody else's stream. They were saying they were buying more. I think in South Korea or Japan. They were buying more adult diapers than baby diapers. Buying more adult diapers than baby diapers. That's what they were saying.
Is that shift the responsibility for well-being to the individual. We have completely lost touch with the truth and reality that human beings are a social species. Humans thrive in groups and are relationally dependent. Yes, even into their adult lives, because no matter how old a human being is, he or she still has relational dependency needs. These are needs that, as a human being, you A, cannot give yourself, or B, even if you can give them to yourself too, that doesn't remove the need to get them from others. In order to thrive and be healthy on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level, you need these dependency needs to be met. If you want to learn more about this, by the way, you can watch another one of my videos that's titled Dependency Needs, the thing that no one will accept that they have. We have failed to question why we are becoming more and more and more separated from each other. Why we have gone from living tribally to living in multi-generational households to living in single-family homes to now many people living alone in an apartment. Unless we happen to be a historian, we do not remember that the move from nomadic foraging to permanent agriculture changed human societies from larger or mobile kinship groups to blood and marriage-related family units anchored to a single plot of land. Unless we happen to be a historian, we do not remember that it was the Industrial Revolution that moved jobs to factories and to offices and cities, breaking that connection between the home and the workplace, also breaking that connection between people and the land. We forget that this caused younger generations to move into these urban centers in search of wage labor, where the new social structure became the setting up of independent households.
So at this particular point is where we start to get to the structuring of the contract here, right? We get off the farms and plantations, and now we enter into this new social construct, right? I'm going to go out there and work as a man. The women, most of the time, well, not even most of the time, but some women were allowed to stay home or at least deal with the more domestic duties. And again, this is what they have completely rejected. Now, of course, that was not always true for Black women, in particular in the United States and probably other poor countries. They still had to go out there and do some type of work. So this is, this is the problem with Rousseau's and Locke's and Hobbes's theories, is that it didn't apply to everyone. This is applied to the aristocracy.
Whereas before this, communities lived and worked together and depended on one another. The home was also the center of work, and large extended families and communities were that collective workforce. There is a complicated picture here to be seen, because on one side, you have a young man chasing economic opportunity, rendering him no longer dependent on inheritance, chasing personal freedom and autonomy. But on the other side, you have companies that are very eager to fuel this divide between work and home, so they have more productive employees. You have mortgage companies that are eager to give out more mortgages. And this can't happen unless more individuals split off and set up their own households. You have
So me either have just talking about Galentine's Day. Galentine's Day is a product of women essentially. Tell me if I'm wrong here. Not having men, but they want to still enjoy something, or do they still have a man that they go on Valentine's Day with? I'm not exactly sure about that. So tell me more about that. I've heard of it, but I haven't really looked into it. I mean, is it just a bunch of women having the time of their life together, or is it because they're frustrated because they can't get a man? And this would go into proving the point here, right? So we'll play a little bit more of this.
governments eager for many reasons for urbanization to occur and to set up things like public institutions, making things like school and caretaking, which were household roles, a government role. Also eager to set up pension plans and Social Security, channeling all that, all the worker funds into government managed funds.
And all that means is, all she's talking about here is that this idea, all these different types of government programs have taken the role of family. All these things that she's talking about here has taken the role of family. 401ks and trust funds and all this type of stuff. It's taking the role. So this has eliminated the need for us to work together and be together.
All of this moving the people's dependency on their community over to dependency on the government and the system that the government creates. You have marketing campaigns and media strategies being designed to influence the way that people think so that the shift occurs in favor of individualism. And with all of this, cultural attitudes shifted, and I mean drastically, especially in Western societies. They shifted towards independence and self-reliance. Being able to have your own home and make it on your own was now a measure of adulthood and success. It was now tied to your sense of personal esteem and personal power. The reason people shifted from foraging tribes to agricultural societies, in case you're interested, which is what created the shift to multi-generational household, was in fact forced adaptation. Early farming was far more labor intensive and less healthy, by the way, than foraging was. It was only when the nomadic lifestyle became unsustainable due to a combination of factors that human beings made this shift. Things like climate fluctuations, things like resource depletion and the necessity of populations moving to certain resource-rich areas and then becoming more sedentary there, which caused the birth rate to increase, which then led to it becoming too overcrowded for foraging. They experienced a kind of a population trap whereby, due to the reality of how much square mileage is necessary to support one person, the size of land could not support the growing population through hunting and through gathering alone. Farming provides more food per acre, and they could have more control over the guarantee of food. They were not limited by what nature organically provided.
All right, so this is pretty good, but I want to get to Anita here. So she's trying to lay out, how we got to this particular problem when we got out the farms, got away from hunter-gatherer societies, and now, as a result of entering into modernity and the government taking over a lot of the subsidies of human life instead of the family, this is how we got to this place where we are more isolated and independent, right? So this is called the Great Independence Sickness, and you guys can go over there and finish watching that. But I want to get to Anita's thing here. This is by Teal Swan. Wow, she got 2 million subscribers. Wow, okay. I never heard of this lady. I just kind of popped up. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see here. We'll go over to Anita's here. Okay.
One of the #1 reasons why women.
All right. So let's see. Walking away is valid. Renegotiating is valid, but the only thing that actually fixes the contract is clear terms and enforceable boundaries, consistent character. Right. So we don't even know what the terms are here. We talked about this before. People are all over the place with their thoughts and desires, and this is what has caused a lot of confusion. What is it that men are supposed to do in a relationship? Are we supposed to pay all the time? What is it a woman supposed to do? Are they supposed to be more domestic, less domestic, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30? What does any of this mean? And so there are no clear contract terms. I find that I spend a good amount of energy trying to build community and staying connected with people, family, neighbors, etc. I find that neighbors are not so neighborly as when I was younger. They're definitely not neighbors. I don't know any of my neighbors. I know one neighbor really good, really well, I should say. And the other ones I say hi and bye to and wave, when I drive by. But as far as like cooking out and, if there's a cookout, you'd be outside just, hey, come over for, grab a hot dog or whatever. That doesn't happen anymore. Teal came to YouTube from a spiritual based channel. Okay, I never heard of her. Okay. That's true to some extent, but the giving should be pouring into each other and refilling the cup. There's no desire to do that, and this is probably what Teal was talking about here. There's no desire. We're just going to be empty and alone. We're going to be by ourselves. We're going to be in our 1-bedroom apartment by ourselves. There's no desire. I've noticed that a lot. And when you talk about relationships and whatever, there's no desire to pour into anyone else. It's about what I can get It's about what I can get. It's about what I can get. Somebody else put this in the chat here. It's me generation, society, culture. It's all about me. We talked about the neighbors. It's all about me and what we can do. So this is Anita. Women will have to renegotiate the terms of the relationship contract. I think the rest of this says to gain men or something like that, to get men's attention. So I thought this was really good, and I had watched this in relation to others as well. So let's listen to what Anita has to say here. And she said, women, not the men need to do it, but women need to negotiate the contract. Thus my thumbnail. Y'all got to renegotiate because the men's expectations are the same. Men are still expected to provide and protect. Men are still expected to pay for the first dates. Men are still expected to approach, plan the date, everything else, to do that masculine type of energy. But what are the women's roles and responsibilities? What are they?
I am headed to an appointment that I have, and y'all are it's supposed to warm up a little. And when they say warm, they mean 40 degrees. It's supposed to warm up a little bit today, and hopefully we will see some of this start to melt, because it's real bad here. The snow is real bad, and there are businesses and the mall and just different businesses that have tried their best to plow, but it's still real bad. And the side streets are still bad. I haven't gotten mail in over a week. I haven't gotten the trash picked up in over a week. So if you're on the East Coast, I mean, you can relate, you can understand to what's going on. But my hope is in the next few days, we don't get anything else, but it also just warms up and some of this breaks up. Anyway, I wanted to jump on real quick because I don't have
But that is the contract, the patriarchal contract, that men are going to perform these types of services in expectation of something else occurring, and that expectation is now lost. Women don't want to cook, clean, sew, etc. Certainly not to the extent that their forebears did. And so if men are going to still perform their duties, what is it that they get in return for it? In particular, when the women have said, from the videos I played and the videos everybody else can watch, and you can see this in every broad daylight, that the ladies are not waiting to be, they're not being chaste, not being virgins, and giving themselves to anyone, meanwhile making the nice guy wait while they still get, have their relations with other people. So why am I going to be patriarchal, and if I'm not going to get any benefits from that? That is the question that men are asking.
a whole lot of time and talk to the ladies today. Talk to the ladies. We are going to have to renegotiate these relationships. Y'all not going to like this. You're not going to like this. But this is a really hard conversation that we need to have. Y'all are going to have to renegotiate these relationships. And I want you to understand that men, they're in a space right now that they have every right and reason to be, right? They see relationships with women, they see marriage with a woman as one of the most dangerous things they could ever do. And you have to understand that. You have to have some sort of empathy or compassion for that. You have to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand that for a lot of men right now, having a relationship with a woman, being committed to a woman, being married to a woman is one of the most dangerous things that a man can do with his future and the outcome of his future. So men are opting out. They are opting out big time. And a lot of men keep talking about the passport bros movement and how they're just going to go to other countries. But here's what those men don't understand. The way this woke mind virus, the way this Western thinking virus, this Western woman virus that y'all hate so much, the way this thing is taking hold, it's just a matter of time. Like, it's just a matter of time before the women.
And that's why I was saying, to the question, are we past the point of no return, or whatever, however it was phrased? It is spreading. I talked about the buying more diapers. That's Japan. So South Korea is in collapse. I think their birth rate is under 1. Japan is dealing with the same thing, where they're buying more adult diapers than there are baby diapers. China is dealing with a mess. almost every Western country, you know, France and Germany and Australia and Canada, United States, all Western countries deal with this, right? The only places that really have positive birth rates are Africa, and I think some parts of South America. So again, and this ideology is spreading, and if industrialization really hits to Africa and to South America, they're going to get on the same thing. Not to mention social media is already spreading it, so they're going to be on the same thing. They're going to be on the same time. So y'all make sure you hit the like button. We'll continue on with this.
In other countries that y'all hate so much, the way this thing is taking hold, it's just a matter of time. Like, it's just a matter of time.
And listen, when they talk about, Europe is dealing with it, why do you think that? Here's the thing about, what's going on here. Why do you think the United States and Europe in particular always allowed for their borders to be open? This was not an accident, and by the Biden administration and the Obama administration, all these different administrations, because people weren't having babies, because, since the 80s or whatever, 80s or 90s, the birth rate has been in decline, and they saw this coming. So you had to allow more people in and give them goodies in order to get here, and et cetera. And so now the natives of those particular places, particularly the United States and the natives in Europe and England and France, and those two countries in particular, are dealing with this because the natives are there. They don't like it. They don't like other cultures coming there. They don't like the fact that people aren't assimilating, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the issue that the problems are having. So there's this tension that is going on between these populations because of the birth rates. And as long as this tension is there, again, this is the mouse utopia experiment. For whatever reason, humans, mammals are deal with this. When you get too much abundance, this is the population collapse is in decline. It is inevitable, almost inevitable. So they're trying to stave this off. They're doing the best they can, but this is what's going on. And it's all up to the ladies. They're the one to control the womb. They're the one having the babies. Until and unless we get those artificial wombs, this is where we're at.
Before the women in other countries are doing the same thing. And please, I mean, it's been too many men that have found out the hard way. They go over to these third world countries and they get women. But if you bring them back here, the clock is ticking. The clock begins to tick on that woman being now Americanized, Westernized, and you got the same problem you had before. So unless you plan on going over to that country and staying in that country, like, I don't know if that's a good solution. But the solution that I'm gonna give to women is to renegotiate the relationship contract.
And here's why I like this, and this is to Free Agent's point here. The women have to renegotiate this. Men haven't changed. We want the same thing. We want the same thing. Now, has there been an effeminization of men? That could be an argument. That can be an argument. So they're unattractive. But generally, good, solid men, average men, between income and everything else that makes a man average, if you can't get them to have a woman, why are they going to participate? And it seems to be so retro and so old-fashioned to talk this way, but this is why men went to work and got advancements in careers, not just jobs but careers, and got the schooling and the education, the certifications, licenses, degrees, so they could afford a home, so they could put a woman in it, so a woman could give them kids. And if the women don't want to be seen as the prize in that way, and they don't want to engage in that, they don't want to have kids, and they want to travel the world and do whatever, you're not gonna get men. If they want to fall off, then the men are going to fall off, because they're not going to chase that. They're not going to chase that.
Right? You have to be willing to give men what they want, and hopefully they're willing to give you what you want. But you're going to have to be more logical and rational in order to do that. It can't just be about romance and feelings. To some extent, we have to make marriage practical again. It cannot just be about love and romance.
Put that in the hat. Make marriage practical again.
Extent, we have to make marriage practical again. It cannot just be about love and romance and sex and, companionship. No, it has to be practical. It has to have some truly practical things and reasoning behind it. And so the reason why I'm bringing this to women's attention is because you all are the ones that really struggle to do that. Like you.
So do you think that single women raising some men of this generation has had an impact on the quality of men? I struggle with that particular question. I don't know if it's the women who have raised that. I think that there is, yes. To simplify it, yes, I do think that has had an impact. But I also think that the culture overall, when you go to school, they talk a certain way. When you go to a job, a certain way, right? I can't tell you how many trainings do you have to sit through in order to get a job, right? Every job I got, and once a year I got to have these different trainings about how to work with each other. And again, if you go back to the articles that I pulled up in the beginning of the video, right? They talk about this, right? Men and women working together, men and women. It's difficult. And we see this playing out in real life. This is where we get the Me Too movement. Men have been not only hampered by being raised in single mothers, which certainly is a problem. But they've also been hampered by the Me Too movement. They've been hampered by seeing these different lawsuits and everything that Anita's talking about right here, right? These changing laws and changing environment. This has all caused men to say, oh, you know what, I'm good. You know what, if I got to do all this to go on a date, if I got to go do all this to work at a job, if I got to do all this to be in these environments, why am I doing all this? So this is a renegotiation, not only of the romantic contract, but there's got to be a renegotiation of the social contract too. Because to me, in my mind, there's no way that it ought to be legal that you can sue a guy for 30 years ago because we had sex and to say, even if he was your boss, and to say, oh, listen, I didn't really want to do it, but he forced me to do it. I just think that's the wrong way to handle those types of situations. If you're a grown adult and you want to be in these spaces and in these environments, you've gone to school, got your education. If you're not being forced to do something, then that ought not to be it. Now we can have trainings about quid pro quo, and yes, I think it's wrong to say to a woman that if you want this promotion, you got to sleep with the boss. Of course, that's 100% wrong. I would never support that. But if you willingly had a relationship with a man, and even if it did go wrong, you ought not to be able to sue because it was a willing relationship. And this is why now many jobs, if you work together, I had to have many people in my police department sign this piece of paper. We are in a willing consensual relationship. This is where we're at. We're in a willing consensual relationship. And so we had to keep them on different shifts. If the guy was a supervisor, she wasn't. And sometimes it would still end up in HR or an internal affairs office, still questioning your relationship. Even after all this talking, even after all this paperwork, it's still there. Appreciate that sub there. The feminization of in the feminization of you insert the institution, the marriage, the church, academia. Marriage should always be practical, not romanticized like movies make it seem. Media doesn't help this effort. A bad deal has 5 red flags: ambiguity, imbalanced benefits, low accountability, disrespect patterns, and different values. Rule: don't negotiate core values, negotiate logistics. I would definitely agree with that. That is a good point there. But again, how long before the real you shows up? How long before the mask falls off? For men and women, how long before it falls off? And again, there's incentives. We talked about the previous lady with Teal there, right? There's incentives. You don't know what happened to men. A lot of this is the incentives of the state. I believe in child support. I don't have a problem with that. But alimony, I think alimony ought to be off the table. Off the table. No more alimony. No more splitting 50-50. No more post-divorce. Helen J. Andrews, anyone? Feminization of a work environment, it's too hard to get along with them. Listen, yeah, Helen Andrews is on something. Was on the right path there. Actually, somebody gave me her email. I'm gonna try to have her on the show. I think it was Helen Andrews. I gotta get back to that. I totally forgot about that. That was a good point. Helen Andrews. I think I have her email. I'm gonna reach out to her. I think she was on Kosher Clinician, and so we'll talk. Try to get her on. Yeah, so feminization of the workplace, or feminization of academia. It's not just single mothers. It's the complete environment that boys are growing up in. I've asked because I noticed a trend of women, single mothers in particular, crippling young men, not requiring them to be men. You still have some of these mothers who are babying young men. I'm not. Yeah, that's definitely an issue. It's 100% an issue. 100%. But then they go to school and they get babied. Then they go to the summer camp and they get babied. And then you go to you can't even be in the Boys Scouts anymore. Now it's the Boys and Girl Scouts or whatever. It's everything. And then you want strong men who know how to do things in their communities and environments and stand up for themselves and speak their mind and be leaders. And men are avoiding mentoring women too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When I have conversations, right, I make sure the doors are open. Even now, I'm teaching on campus right now, right? The door's got to be open. If a girl comes in and wants to talk about sometimes they want to talk about the future of law enforcement and stuff like that. So I have to have these conversations. Leave that door open, because I don't. And that's something that's got to be on guys' minds. That's why I'd rather teach online. When did it become about romance? I think that's a good question. Right. I would have to say during the Victorian period, the concept of wooing women. I think that's where it came about at. I think so. I have to look that up. That's a good question. Let's see. We'll play a little bit more of this here.
It has to have some truly practical things and reasoning behind it. And so the reason why I'm bringing this to women's attention is because you all are the ones that really struggle to do that. Like, you really struggle. Y'all really struggle with the idea of reciprocity, with the idea of the relationship doesn't exist just to make you happy. The idea of my money is my money and his money is my money. Like, all that foolishness has to go away. And for those of you that are thinking, because there's a lot of you out there that are thinking right now, well, I don't care about these men, and I don't care about marriage, and I don't want to have no kids, and I don't want to. Okay, that's a percentage of you all. This message isn't for you. That's going to be a percentage of a lot of women. And this message is not for you. I'm talking to women who would like to come together with a good man, who would like to have a family, who would like to love and care and support, and all the good things that come along with being with a good man, partnering with a good man. For those of you that want that, you have to renegotiate. We can't stay stuck on some of these old premises. And look, I'm asking the men to renegotiate too. Can I be honest? The men now need to renegotiate this idea of, well, I'm going to protect and provide. Because again, if you have a wife that works, she can do that too. So if she's saying, hey, my needs are not solely around providing and protecting. My needs are around, just being a good friend, showing emotional support, consideration. Like, I'm asking the men to do the same thing. And I get it, fellas. I get it. You were not taught this new way of meeting a woman's needs. All of this is new. That's why y'all are pushing back so hard, because you're like, what is that?
I think it's not so much that it's not we haven't been taught to do that. It's that when we do it, the emotional support, this, that, and the other, it's not reciprocated, it's not understood, it's not appreciated. And if we start talking about something, if we start talking about something, they don't want to hear our opinion, or it's not just about men not being acculturated to do that, as women haven't been acculturated to do that either. And so again, this is where we get to the problems at. Men have not been, or if you do open up, then you're seen as soft and weak, and they don't want that. They want to be able to have you, and there's been plenty of ladies saying this, they want to have you control their emotions. I don't need an emotional man. I need him to be stable and strong.
I mean, what is that? I don't know how to do that. My father didn't do that. His father didn't do that. So you're just pushing back. But if, as the men have been telling me, okay, we can't afford single earner family homes. You know, we can't do that. Okay, then. So we all have to renegotiate the relationship. If you need her to work, if you need her paycheck, then you're going to have to find out what she really needs from you. And that is going to be emotional support. That's going to be being a good friend, being considerate.
Being a good friend. They don't want that. That's not going to increase the polarity and get their juices flowing there. Some good points here. Will the woman pay off a man's debt? You know that ain't gonna happen. Most women know it. The women don't like it, and they don't, or they will exploit it. AKA, he's too nice. Exactly. Will they respect a man because they make more than him? These are all issues. This is the problem with trying to renegotiate these contracts, because those 3 points right there: paying off a man's debt. Now this guy is too nice, and the respect of you make more than him. When you got to solve, you can't solve the biological problem. We can solve the cultural, societal, economic problem. Can't solve the biological instincts.
Being kind, being faithful, being loyal. That's what she's saying she wants. You're going to have to be willing to give it, and then you tell her what you want, and she has to be willing to give it. Isn't that how good negotiations go? Isn't that the whole idea behind a good negotiation? Each party comes to the table. They have a list of demands. They know what it is they want. And they hammer out, okay, I'm going to give you this. Okay, bam. Now we got a deal. Do we have a deal? And we have a deal. And you commit to that deal. You hold firm and steady on that deal. That's it. It's not rocket science. And like I said, when I got married over 7 years ago, that's exactly what me and my then husband did. That's why we were engaged so quickly. We were engaged within 6 months because we had all these hard conversations. We did the whole, let's come to the negotiation table. What is it you want? Here's what I want. We did that exact thing. And to some regard, it wasn't all about me being a Disney princess or my emotions or my feelings. Like, I'm a practical, pragmatic person. And so, yeah, I required fidelity. I required that you not be, sleeping around and bringing home diseases and making me look like a fool. I required that you keep your end of the bargain, which is to be the sole provider, and I will keep my end of the bargain, which is keeping a spotless home, keeping well-mannered children, hot meals, sex, right? Like, we got to spell it out. We got to spell it out. Like, I don't know why. And here's what I'm thinking is happening. The reason why a lot of women don't want to have this conversation is because it's not romantic. It's not romantic. Something about it just makes them go, ew. It gives them the ick. But considering where the divorce rate is, considering where the marriage rate is, like, there's going to be a whole lot of people not getting married. So that's why the divorce rate is going to go down. The divorce rate is going to plummet because ain't nobody getting married. The marriage rate will plummet to meet the divorce rate because, like I said, we won't be getting married anymore. And for those of us who still believe in marriage, for those of us who still want to be married, and that's important to us, that is what I personally believe is God's design for us as men and women. Like, we got to do something. We got to make something happen. But women don't like that conversation because it's not romantic. There's no Disney movie, cartoon or otherwise, where the princess sits down with the prince and they hammer out, they renegotiate the contract. They renegotiate the relationship. They're like, ugh, that's not romantic. That's not good. So,
and that ability for them to renegotiate the contract is what's giving men pause in wanting to sign up for that. You got to renegotiate. You got to renegotiate staying in the relationship. It's too easy to get out. There's too many goodies and benefits to get out. Too many incentives to break the contract. You have to renegotiate that particular aspect of it. Until they address that, it's gonna be a long road to hoe.
Oh, that's why women don't do it. I think men don't do it for fear of ticking the woman off. So I think men don't do it for other reasons. Like, well, I don't want to piss her off. And You know, and then some of it is, if I can be honest with y'all, I think
Hit the like button, y'all. You know, now that I think about it, I know a couple of ladies who help men pay off their student loans and child support debt, in particular child support debt, because they're facing jail, and I want my man in jail, so I'm gonna pay off that. So I do know, I've heard a couple of stories about that. That's true, and you are the best moderator in the game, there, Rhonda.
men don't clearly know what they need. I think men are not as good as at identifying what they need as women are, right? Because we have this running joke where we say men only need 3 things. And the truth is, men need more than 3 things. Men actually have a lot of needs. And you'll only find that out once you've been in a relationship and about a year has passed. And if you can get the man to verbalize, like if you can get him to verbalize the things that he doesn't like and doesn't want, and the things that he wants and the things that he needs, you're going to find out that it's way more than 3 things. It's a lot.
I don't know about that, but whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I watched this before, and I'm still kind of debating whether I trust that or not. But Anita's my girl. AK a prenup. I don't like a contract that negates the original contract. I think the original contract, the marriage contract, has to be overhauled. That's my philosophy. I think you have to overhaul the initial contract. You have to overhaul the initial contract. What does it mean to be married? What does that mean? What does that look like? And this, I got, to get a contract to negate the first contract. I don't like that. I think the first thing got to be changed. That way men would look at marriage to begin with. Gregory Scotland. Hi, Dr. L. More of the Generation Z black men would be more willing to listen to Theo Wav, kosher, or you than sit down at the table with the modern black woman. Well, there. Yeah. Appreciate that $10. Yeah. It's difficult, man. It's difficult. Yeah. As far as that, man, men just got to hold the line. I understand negotiating. I understand her point and having a conversation about what you want and need and expect in a relationship. I don't know if I would call that a renegotiation. I would just say, here's where I'm standing. Because again, men haven't changed. We're still willing to work. We're still willing to. There's more men who want to get married, even Gen Z. There's more men who want to get married than more women who want to get married. And the list of priorities for women to get married, and when they list them out, marriage and family are lower on the priority list versus education, versus career, versus preparing for retirement. And men, they're worried about the first. And of course, if they get the first, as far as marriage and family, then they will do whatever it takes to make sure that we are financially secure. They'll work the 80 hours a week. They'll take the dirty jobs because they got a family to support. And that, I think, is what's missing. After marriage, the deal has to be rediscussed. We are different people every 7 years. That's why at one time I was advocating for what was I advocating for? Term limits for your license. It expires after 10 years. You gotta see it, and then you gotta ask the question: do you still want this? And that whole thing, we're different people after 7 years. To me, you got to grow together. You got to grow together. I mean, if you like things in the beginning of your relationship, you like going to the opera in the beginning of your relationship. 7 years later, you don't like them anymore. You don't like that anymore. I don't know how I feel about this whole growing together thing. It's something I probably got to look into a little bit more. Different in growing into different people, I should say.
A lot more than 3 things that most men need. But initially, all they can think of is those 3 things. And so that's why they tell women, oh, men are simple and we only need 3 things. Y'all need more than 3 things. Like, let's be honest.
Let me shout out all my mods. They're Miles and High Vibe and Yoli, I think, is also in the building. All of y'all are the best in the business here. Let me not pick sides here. All of y'all are the best in here.
Couples therapists. I've been doing this for over 10 years. And I can't tell y'all, I can make a running list of all the things that men have come in and said that they needed. So it's not just 3 things. It's more than that. But we have to be willing to sit down at the table with men we like, men we respect, right? Men we can one day love and honor and reverence, right? And we have to just negotiate. We have to just negotiate the contract. What is it you want? Here's what I want. Here's what I'm going to provide. What are you going to provide? Like, I know it's not the sexiest thing. I know it's not the most romantic thing, but it is the thing that could actually, number one, get us married again. And number two, keep us married. And those are my.
I just don't like, this is my own personal opinion. I just don't like the prenup being part of the actual nuptials. Now what we could probably say is, what we can probably say is, every marriage contract should be different, and you can write up your own particular contract. Forget the state contract, or write up your own contract. We can have some templates or whatever. But the way that the state, it's assumed you get married in wherever you're at, Texas or California or Arkansas or whatever, then your state contract is going to be what it is. And I just have a problem with that, because now I have to undo the automatic assumption of the state. And that, I think, that is a turnoff to me, because this is obviously a crazy case, but you get married in one state, and what if you get divorced in another state? Well, the property divisions may be different. In fact, Hulk Hogan was living in Florida. I don't know where he got married at, but he was living in Florida. His wife went to California and filed for divorce because they had greater property division rights. So I don't like the idea of a prenup to negate the first and original conversation and or nuptials. So
my number one and number two goals. My number one goal is to get people married, and number two right behind it is to keep people married, keep their relationships healthy and happy and fulfilled.
Appreciate that, AJC. We try, man. We try. Just an awesome discussion environment. Appreciate that. Yeah, we're trying to have some intelligent conversations here sometimes. Sometimes. I've helped several women grow in life mentally, emotionally, economically. Once they get on their feet, you, the helper, are no longer good enough. They leave. Okay, that's kind of wild. Women would say the same thing. They're kind of scared about fixing up a man because they're going to leave. So both of y'all ought to stay.
Those are my goals. Those will forever be my goals. That's a hill I'm willing to die on. And I don't often debate people on marriage, because I'm just like, it's a biblical thing in my mind. So if you're not Christian, what is there to debate about? We're coming from two different.
Yeah, and this is where she and I obviously diverge, because marriage was around before Christianity. Christianity is only 2,000 years old, but human race is longer and older than that. But whatever. I find Gen Z men are more willing to hold the line, but too many Boomer and Gen X men live in some kind of dream world, just too damn nice. Yeah, and this is where we got to get men, particularly Generation X. Boomers are in their 70s and 80s. I don't, but there's definitely too many Gen X men who don't want to hold the line, because we've been taught to to cater to women, and that is now being taken advantage of. And you got to wake up to that. It takes men a long time to wake up to that. I had to wake up to that. So I'm taking these ladies out on dates, spending a band on a date, or not on a date, but on taking different ladies out, etc., getting to know them. Right. And then they're dating with other people, and all this kind of foolishness that goes on out here. It takes a while. It takes a while for that to kick in, that winter soldier trip to kick in, and realize this is a problem. And you got to find spaces like this in order to wake up to what's going on here. So yeah, I appreciate that $5 too. Appreciate that. Grow together, accept another person's growth. Yeah, unless that person is a completely different person. And that's why, yes, there's vetting that has to go along with it, really getting to know people, their family history, environments, drug addictions. You got to find out all that out before you marry someone. You got to find all that out. And if people are being secretive and they want to talk about it, and they shut down and this, that, and the other, those are definitely red flags that you ought to run away from. Run away from that. People don't want to talk about their past and whatever. I'm not talking about how many bodies you got. I'm talking about, what kind of stuff was going on. What they got kids. What happened to father and this and that. You got to figure all that out.
Worldviews. We're coming from two different, religious stances or whatever. I don't debate people on that. I just say, well, that's a part of my Christian faith. That's what I believe is God's original design. For me, it's all about living life based on God's principles and standards. See, so for me to have A conversation with someone who is secular is pointless. And that's why I don't do it. I've had people say, oh.
Hey, Dr. Dardis, appreciate you joining in. I had a topic I want to discuss with you. I can't remember what it is, though, but I want to have you back on. I know we talked the other day, so you just check your email. I can't remember what it was. I didn't send an email yet, but when I think of it again, I'll shoot it to you before I forget it.
Well, why don't you debate this person or that person? We are coming from two totally different worldviews. That person is secular. Everything I say is not going to make sense to them. Okay, so there's just no point in doing that. That's why I don't do it, because I've been invited on many a panel, many a thing. You'd be shocked to know the people that have invited me to come and sit with other people or be on these panels or whatever, and I just say no, thank you. Like I said, it's just I just don't see that that's productive, right? If I'm talking to other believers, now I got something. Now I got Bible, I got biblical principles, I got God's holy word. I can prove my stance through the word. But if you're a secular person, if you don't believe in that, it's pointless. So that's why I'm like, no, I'm good. And then they say, oh, well, you believe in freedom of speech and this and that, but yet you won't come and do this and that, because I don't believe in wasting words. I don't believe in bringing chaos. I don't believe in the drama. I don't believe in putting myself in situations that are more frustrating than anything. Like, I just don't believe in doing that. I keep having to remind y'all, I'm past 50, and I only interact with things that are good and positive and noble and high-minded, things that are actually going to be productive out here in the world. Everything else is bye-bye. I'm good. But ladies, this is a tough one. You're going to have to jump on your logical, rational side of your mind. And you are going to have to literally, and I've been working with some of my ladies that I coach and counsel, write a list, and this is what I tell them.
So I would advocate for getting married younger too. I would advocate for that, particularly when you want to have children. But there's a lot to be said about brain maturation. There's a lot to be said about it. The older you get married, there's a sweet spot. I think if I remember correctly, it's like between 28 and 34. Those marriages seem to last the longest, because if you get married before that, you're too young. And I may be off. It may be 27 or 28 or something like that. Maybe even 29. I can't remember the exact, but there is a sweet spot in there. And if you're too young, you get divorced, and if you're too old, then you're too set in your ways, and you end up getting divorced. So there's a sweet spot in there. But if you want to have kids, you got to do it young. So it's hard to get around this modernity that we're living with today.
Write a list for me of what are the benefits of being in a relationship with you. What does that person get? What does that person experience? Like, literally write it down. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a part 2 to this video, because I got to go in here to physical therapy. I'm going to make a part 2 to this video. And in the part 2, I'm probably going to be sitting in my office somewhere. I'm going to read to you from my list. So I actually sat down and I wrote a list of all the things that a good man, a good godly man, would receive by being in a relationship with me. I did.
I definitely agree with you, Sir Lavo. Gen X, 70s, 80s, and 90s groomed and seduced us to be doormat men, music, media, church, elders, school, all of that life. Right. This is to the same point that I was talking about before, whether it's the women who are raising single women who are raising these boys to be weak. I think it was the culture. I think it's everything, singing in the rain movies and singing in the rain music videos in the 80s and 90s, right? All that type of stuff. Church elders told us to, happy wife, happy life. I heard that a lot in my church. I'm like, what's going on here, right? And then you get into that, and now you're miserable. So, swallowing your pride a lot. Not trying to be this good guy and trying to stick around, make things work, and next thing you know, it's not respected. Yeah, you gotta get into all that. You're absolutely right. No, Anita's don't be scared. She tells it like it is. I appreciate her. I sometimes, we text a lot. I tell her, listen, I appreciate you, because you're telling men what they need to hear. This is a woman who tells men what they need to hear. And she tells men, I don't know if this is the follow-up video to this, but she said, listen, you men, you guys got to hold the line. And you can't back down. You cannot back down. She tells me that. we talk often, and she tells me that, listen, sometimes you can't back down. You gotta be a man. You can't back down because you want to be nice. Just like Sir Lavo said, you want to be nice. This is the way we were raised. And that winter soldier chip kicks in every once in a while. And sometimes I still fight it. I'm like, oh man, I gotta be a man about this, right? You gotta hold your ground. She'll tell me. She and my cousin will tell me, listen, you gotta be a man. You can't go along with these women. You gotta hold the ground, hold the line. And if women are saying that, then you know it's a problem. You know it's a problem.
That. And I think other women need to do it too. And even if you don't share it, even if you don't talk about it, you need clarity. You need clarity as to your value and your worth. And let me tell you what happens when you write this list. Not only can you, express yourself from the list, but it also helps to improve your self-esteem because you can see in black and white your worth and value. You can see all the things that are just excellent about you. So once I saw it in black and white, I'm like, I'm bad. Like, I'm dope. But like, I am really something else. Like, shoot, it sent my self-esteem through the roof. I was like, I am really an amazing person out here. See, you get clarity. Now the opposite can happen too. You could look at the list and maybe the list got 9 things on it, and you're like, well, this not a lot. This is really not as much as I thought. Like, this really ain't that great. The opposite could happen. It could wake you up to the fact that, you don't bring much value. You don't bring much value in a relationship. And I'm being honest, there's some women out here. Because putting down that I look good, my body is tight,
we were raised to be gentlemen. That's true, but that has been I don't know if it's been lost, but it's certainly not appreciated and it's seen as weak. Again, this renegotiation that is going on has to be to the women that they have to make better decisions. You can't sleep with Pookie all the time. and then when you come across a good dude who send you good morning texts, you make fun of that dude. And so men have to wake up to that. So we're trying to walk this fine line, and we at least have the presence of mind and the frame of thinking to say, I need to walk this fine line about how to be masculine enough, speak my mind, get what I want, stand up for myself, as well as still be a gentleman about it. And this is on renegotiation that men need to have within and of themselves. This is what the manosphere and red pill space are speaking of. So I understand you want gentlemen, and I certainly agree with being that, but it's got to be appreciated. And it's got to be respected. And don't come out your neck when you're talking to me. So Legion of Simps.
Your sex game. Okay. All right. Anything else? like some of us are going to find some things out about ourselves that we don't like. Like I really don't bring that much value. So that's it. All right. I will talk to you all hopefully later.
I missed that, Chris. A man in recovery is undesirable. I probably missed when she said that. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I probably missed when she said that.
Later today. I think I'm gonna do it later today if I get a chance. I got a lot of personal appointments today. So hopefully I get to jump back on here later this evening. And I'm going to do a part 2. And I'm going to read to you from my list. This is what a good man will get by being in a relationship or a marriage to Anita. All right. Have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you all for joining. Thank you so much. And as always, stay open to love.
I haven't listened to the Roger Report in a little bit here. He does have some good stuff there. Roger Report, I do appreciate. When I do watch him, I do appreciate what he's saying. Chivalry is lost. Yeah. Dr. So true. Let's see. Something got lost along the way. Women being raised to be ladies. In all this conversation, I think that's what we have to really have a conversation about: is women being raised to be mothers, to be ladies, to be respecting of men who are gentlemen, men who are chivalrous. We have to have that. Ladies have to have that conversation. And that's why I appreciated that particular video, even though she got on the men a little bit there about, and her critique of men was to stand your ground, essentially. The critique was to, for the ladies to say, you got to renegotiate your contract, what you're expecting, what you demand, and what you're willing to give, and what you're willing to settle for, and what you're willing to provide to a man in order for him to bring him into his sphere of influence. What does he get? And that is so difficult for a lot of ladies to articulate. And she said at the end of that there to write down a list of what a man is going to get when you enter into his life. And I would recommend that any ladies in here do that as an exercise. What is it that you provide to a man? What is it that he is going to get when and if you guys get together? And if you have any nieces, daughters, I would advise that you do the same for them. Ask them, what is the man going to get? Not what you're going to get, not what he's going to do, whatever. There was a video I had, and this woman, she kept deflecting on that particular question. The guy asked her 3 times. I can't find it. It's not my saved Instagrams. But she was asked 3 times, and the guy said, you're not able to answer this question. You're not able to answer this question. What are you going to give to the man? Renegotiating the contract here, because it takes practice, and women were raised to be rude, mean, and outright evil to men. They don't want the gentleman. Yeah, they don't want that. People have used a high checklist, but the spouse missed half the list. Yeah. BGS, welcome, brother. The environment changed. So did the people. To expect men to correct them is unfair. Yeah, we definitely addressed that. We definitely addressed how the environment has changed throughout the years, and now here we are in this place. We definitely addressed that. Women equate good men to life being over. They consider it boring. I'm not mad at them, but they despise settling down. Media makes them love flash over substance. And one's got to think that this was a serious problem in what these people, Hobbes and Locke and Rousseau, were dealing with when they looked at this type of boredom that ladies were dealing with. And of course, back in the 1800s when they were writing, developing these theories, right? They couldn't imagine social media being flown out over the place, bars and clubs to the extent that they are now. Yeah. We're doing good with the like count. I appreciate that, y'all. Hit the like button. It's all a vague promise, though. Women will move heaven and earth from the men they want. They will never employ the good character she's been through her network. Yeah, that's it, man. And of course, they have let the cat out of the bag, as I've talked about before, and many of us in the space have talked about before, that they're telling women how to finesse men and sleeping with Chad and Tyrone and this, that, and the other. And meanwhile, the good guy, the boring guy, the lame guy, the chivalrous guy, what else do we call him? He gets all the goodies for free. And you got to take him out on these expensive dates, etc. Pookie is their many women's comfort zone. In many cases, so it's all about the available limited geographical area. Yeah. Be a ruthless gentleman. Yeah, speak your mind. That's one thing you got to do. Speak your mind, stand your ground, hold your square, and don't be afraid. She leaves, right? Was that the Drago line from Rocky? Was it Rocky 2 or 3 or whatever it was, right? I'm not saying certainly don't want anybody to die, but if she leaves, she leaves, right? She leaves. Yeah, that's the mindset the more men have to adopt, right? And this negotiation that is going on. You're going to negotiate, go ahead, but I'm 53. I'm not, well, I'll be 53 next month. I'm not a negotiation. Here's what it is. It's either get right or get left. So, but my kids are grown and raised, so I don't have to do that anymore. Rocky 4. Was it Rocky 4? With Drago? 2 was Clubber. I thought it was Rocky 3. Okay, I'll take your word for it. They don't really treat the men they want fairly, which is why Pookie doesn't marry. Yeah. The original contract is redacted. My pops used to say it's not let's make a deal, it's here's the deal. That, man, I like that. I like that. Right. 3 was Clubber Lang. Or was it? Okay, now I'm all messed up here now. Another great convo. AJC, Dr. Babby are waiting in a group live. You guys let me know. I need AJC's email. Hit me in the email. AJC, we'll do it. We'll definitely do it. No, it's not in the cards yet. I'm getting on my kids about that. Drago Rocky 4. Okay, you got it. Okay, I believe you. Drago Rocky 4, one of my all-time. That was a good movie. I actually enjoyed Rocky 4 better than 1, quite honestly. I did. Pookie doesn't marry because he doesn't have to do anything to get the women. He just mistreats women and plays games, but somehow there are women who equate that with masculinity. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely true. Yeah, definitely true. Yeah, Rocky 4 was the best. Yeah, Rocky 4 was better than 1. It was the best one of all of them, but it's better than Rocky 1. So you're fired. You don't waste your time. No, yeah, I agree with that. Listen, you gotta keep it moving. All right, y'all. We've been on for 2 hours and 11 minutes. I really appreciate you guys stopping through. Let me read off the super chats here. Make sure I got everyone. AJC with the $2. He gifted some memberships. Appreciate that. AJC with another $5 here. Soft cooperative women are priority and deserve to have their needs met. Lorelei with the $1.99. Let's lunch. Commish to. Yeah, okay. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'll send Chris a text. I'm trying to think of when my availability is. I got a lot of stuff this week, so maybe next week we can do it. $2 from Free Agent. Appreciate that. 49 super sticker from Mr. Stu. Glorious Love with the $4.99. Appreciate that. Dr. Gifted another pot. AJC gifted another membership. I appreciate that. Gregory Scotland. More Generation Z black men would be more willing to listen to Theo Wild Kosher or you than sit down at a table with modern black women. That's unfortunate, man. That's unfortunate. AJC with another $5. Appreciate that. I find Gen Z men are more willing to hold the line, but too many Boomer and Gen X men live in some kind of dream world. It's just too damn nice. That's what we're just talking about, man. Too many nice guys out here. Another $5 super chat nickel on behalf of LRB. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. No, Pookie is not marriage material. Appreciate you. You can't win, child. Thank you for a great live. No, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you to all the mods there. Thank you to all who donated to the channel. Much love and respect. Appreciate y'all. LRB with the $1.99. Y'all make sure you go over to what is it? Leadership Today? I should know this by now. Leadership Today. It's on Spotify. Go over there, check out her channel. She gives really good talks about leadership. You guys have a great week. I'm gonna try to do another live either tomorrow night, which is Wednesday, or Friday. I wanted to do Bobby Wright, either Bobby Wright or Amos Wilson. So one of those two I'm going to do this week. I meant to do it last week, but I got busy. So yeah. Jen, she should talk to the unks. They should. They should. Leading Today. I should know that. Yeah, Leading Today, Dr. Badby on Spotify. Go over there, give her a sub over there. She's doing some good talks, and she and I and AJC 33 are going to have a good conversation. I'm gonna have them up here, and we're gonna have a good conversation about leadership. So we'll be doing that fairly soon. So all right, y'all. I appreciate you guys all stopping in, men and women. Appreciate that great conversation. So this is the renegotiation of the contract. This is what's going on. We painted the picture tonight about what's going on in the community and what's going on globally, and we got to figure this out before it's too late. So we got to figure it out. And I don't like to be pessimistic, but it's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue to try to correct this situation. And what's going to be essential is that we need each other again, and that's going to come from some type of environmental change. And until that environmental change comes, it's just it's going to be crazy. So, all right, y'all. You guys take care. Have a great night. Y'all, everyone else go over there and follow LRB there, Dr. Bagby. Good night, y'all. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like button on your way out. Take care. Have a great night. Much love and peace.